Hello, everybody. Good morning. What is good? What's going on? Let's get started with a brand new day, guys. Hey, Paul. Hey, Neil, Jonathan, Bill, Philip, Joanne. Good morning to you all. Hope everyone's starting the day well and that we're ready to go. That we got actually a pretty nice looking range. Consistently bouncing off the lows and the highs. This could be really good. Morning, Tommy. Hey, Dennis. Little move up here as we approach the opening bell. And we really do not have any news today. We already got through retail sales. That happened at 5:30, or sorry, whatever that is, 8:30 market time. Little bit of volatility from it, not much. And there's the opening bell. Let's see what we got. Initially, would want price to get to the top of this range so we could look for a short. We don't want to be in this uptrend though. Ideally, we would drop first and then come up to the top. Then we could look for a short right there. All right, it is sort of moving up here. Do have a slight break out of that channel. And again, we'd be looking for a short at the top of the range. Good morning, Tom. Good to have you as always. Over on NQ, we have a very similar structure. It is a lot weaker though. It already very clearly broke out of this channel, had a new high, could have even taken that short right here if you were watching this guy right here. Happened at the top, could have happened a little bit higher for better probability, but pretty decent setup. I'm looking for some lower highs. Getting some nice lower high bars, but they're all happening above the EMA. And the S&P really hasn't had that second leg up either, so we had the break out of the channel, kind of forming a bull flag. Would expect possibly one more bounce up before we eventually go down. The question is whether I would take the second entry long or not. It'd have to look really nice. So far, not setting up. All right, let's see if this bar turns around. If it does, I could consider a long, but it's not looking great. Good morning, Julian. Good morning, Freedom. Yeah, it does not look like we were going to be getting that second leg up. I think this uptrend was much tighter, which makes sense as we were in a range. So now monitoring this downtrend. We'll see if it continues, but the better setup today is going to be waiting until trends play themselves out and then looking for reversals. If we get a bounce here and the EMA holds as resistance, that's where we'd be looking for the short, something along those lines. Here we're getting the pullback, so this is going to be really important to see how this ends up. Want to see some rejection at the moving average here. Cool, there's a good first rejection. Nice. Solid bearish bar. Let's see if we can get one more. Need this to come back to the EMA. Ah, darn. Still have a chance. We haven't made the new low yet. But it looks like we're going to. We'll see though. If we pull back to the EMA, we'll get in on it. Over on NQ, we're actually like already at the support here. Could be a wider channel. We may have some downside to go on NQ. A little bit cleaner action on the S&P. All right, we got the new low there, so we're going to have to pause looking for shorts on ES. If we can get a good setup at the range support, I would take that. So we're just watching to get down to there and get a bit bullish bar. So want it to look like a breakout, right? We want to draw in the bears and then end up some sort of bullish hammer. Needs to happen down here at the actual support though. See if we can get that. Paul, that's awesome. Congrats on your payout. Yeah, if anyone's on the fence about thinking about signing up for mentorship, highly recommend it. It can really expedite your process. Like, yes, most people, if you have enough time in the markets, you can be successful. If you stick with it and work hard, but you can really speed up that process with someone sitting right next to you, helping guide you through the ins and outs. You know, I've gone through a lot of the pitfalls I can help you avoid. And Paul's a great example of what can happen with some hard work and some support. So he's been posting payout after payout in the Discord. It's been awesome. So yeah, if you are interested in signing up for mentorship, feel free to shoot me a message on Discord. We can chat about it more if you have questions, or you could just sign up under the WAP link below there. NQ bouncing off of the support. Cannot really take it though, as it's in that downtrend, and ES did not get all the way to the support. So waiting to get to the key level. S&P has a little ways to go. Hopefully we have a little bit more volume than yesterday. It was pretty pitiful. And it did end up being a nice trend day. It was just so slow. So at least it was easy to read, but man, you got in a trade and it took a little scalp, took 20 minutes. Yes, still not making it down to support. Meanwhile, NQ is just sitting right on it. This really could go either way, so we gotta be patient here. We do have a second entry short here on the S&P. We just don't really have a trend that it is in, a confirmed trend to trade. But as far as the pattern goes, it's exactly what you're looking for. Nice 2 legs back to the EMA, bearish bar. But the downtrend already played itself out with the close outside and a new low. So context-wise, we would expect a bounce, which is kind of what we're getting now. All right, so on NQ, we have something interesting because this downtrend now is played out, right? We are no longer in this channel. Could possibly be wider for sure, but as of right now, close outside and a new low, so we would expect a bounce. If we get a really nice bullish bar right here, we can take that as a failed breakout. Be exactly where we would want it to happen. So let's see how this bar forms. So far not happening. Woo, man. Wish that bar formed better. That's exactly, this market's doing exactly what we would expect. Man, I was close to being a really good setup right there. Just didn't quite get the right bar. Scalp was already made, and we could bounce more, but with this chop, we could also go down. S&P bouncing like we would expect it to as well. We're going to be monitoring for another trend to develop or for us to get to one of the extremes of this range. All right, so looks like we got a trend forming here. And on NQ, markets are doing the same thing. That's good. That's exactly what you want. Seeing them move in lockstep. Range bias so far is confirmed. So now we would be looking for a setup at the EMA, seeing if we can get a pullback on this move up. It would actually be a lot better if we can Get some more velocity before pulling back. Let this thing develop. And confirm it really is a legitimate uptrend. ES is looking pretty legit here. So yeah, we'll be waiting for that pullback. So far so good. And a little testament to the strength of the bulls, we were not able on the S&P to get down to the support level of that range. So that is increasing the likelihood that we break out to the upside. So we'll be watching for that. If we get to the top of this range, we're not going to be wanting to short. Unless this trend is played out, of course, something like that. If we break out of the top, we're going to be looking for that pullback, the top of the range to hold and then get long. And basically that level is yesterday's high. Wow, quite the move. Very vertical. We're breaking out of the top of the range. NQ as well. Really strong move up. Unfortunately, sometimes these real vertical ones are the ones that reverse pretty easily. Now we're essentially just looking for a nice pullback. And we have no real news in the way. We're all good to look for a trade. Hopefully the Nasdaq doesn't get too high here and reject off of that overnight high level. Tom asking, if you buy a 1-day pass eval, does it stay 1 day to pass after the sale ends? I cannot remember. I don't know. You'd have to read the fine print on there. I don't think so unless they state it, but I don't know. S&P is right on yesterday's high. Really would like us to get above yesterday's high, not reject off of it. So hopefully the S&P can go a little bit higher here. Shoot, this is like the worst case scenario. We rejected right off of yesterday's high. Really hard to trade a continuation at that point. Darn, so we're going to have a tough decision coming up if we get a really clean pattern here, because it will have rejected off of that level. So then do we assume that it's going to then break above? I don't know. That's definitely does not have as high a probability of working out as if we would have broken above the level first and came back as a retest. So I think I'm gonna play. I'm gonna feel it out. Like if we get a really solid pattern and the bar looks strong, I'm not opposed to risking it, but it does have to look pretty dang nice. Still have not even come all the way back to the EMA. In NQ, we're kind of facing the same problem as this right around this resistance area. However, there is an uptrend in play. So it's very likely that we have one more push up, even if we do end up going down from this level. Market just compressing sideways. How fun. How joyous. Only 30 minutes in and we're already compressing. Very similar to yesterday in terms of volume. Again, very likely that we do make another push higher. It's just really hard to get an entry here when we have not even pulled back to the 21. And we're still right at this key level. But yeah, there we go. There's our push higher. Now this downtrend more or less looking played out. And we will see especially what happens around this key level. Like, if we drop down immediately, very likely that we're stuck in a range for the day. If we come back and continue to hold this as support and make a new high, very likely that we have a larger uptrend and we can continue to look for longs today. Over on NQ, I'm going to take a chance on this failed breakout. Very small risk. Just in case it drops down. It was a very aggressive setup though, just given how high it bounced, but we're right at resistance, so the upside definitely makes it worth it for me. Ooh, we might actually have another chance. If this turns into a bearish bar, I will likely give it a try. Doesn't look like it. But yeah, the upside here is that we have this entire move down to the bottom of the range, 160 points. You know, you're only risking like 10. You only have to hit those every once in 30. And you'll be wildly profitable. So now we're just watching again to see if this breakout holds. And so far it's kind of looking like it. Tempted to take another aggressive entry here, but the bar is pretty big. It'd be a little bit too much risk. And Q looking like it wants to make another push up. There's not a whole lot of conviction either way. Striker short to short NQ, so you're safe to go long. All right. Appreciate you making that sacrifice for us. Yep, there's that new high on NQ. We will start to look for that wider uptrend. Be something like this. Considering one more aggressive entry here on NQ. This would be the last shot for a short, but this bar has to close real strong. Kind of looks like it wants to keep going higher. We'll give this one more shot to the short side. We'll have a very tight leash on it. Need immediate takeoff. There we go. See if we can break those wicks. Nice. Nice, nice. Of course, the next setup we'd be looking for, if you didn't get in on that one, would be a lower high. See how far down this goes. Right now we're kind of stalling on the EMA. Beautiful. I'm just going to trail above each bar here. Likely to be stopped in profits right here. And there it is. There it is. Now, of course, if this downtrend continues, we'll be looking for another entry to the short side. And on ES, we might already have, yeah, we already have a close outside of that downtrend, looking for a pullback to the EMA. The S&P can get back to the 21. This could be our solid setup. Like this second leg of the pullback starting to look pretty decent. If the moving average holds as resistance. All right, here's that second test of the EMA. We'll see if it rejects. So far, not looking like it. Back up to that key level. ES looking to possibly break out above yesterday's high. Meanwhile, NQ not quite as strong. but we do still have a bullish bias overall. NQ drops back down below the EMA. We will look for a short yet again. So far it's hovering above, and of course ES is right on that key level line. Yeah, bullish push here. We did not even get a second leg of that move down, so that signifies some pretty decently strong momentum to the upside. As long as we hold above yesterday's high, we are only going to be looking for longs. Let's look for that second entry long. Breakout is holding. Bullish bias is clear. Now we're just looking for a chance to join it. I wish NQ was participating in the same way. It's looking relatively weak. It has not made a new high here. Where's yesterday's high, actually? Come to think of it. Don't have that marked for whatever reason. Yeah, we were still like right below it. Would like to see both NQ and ES above yesterday's high. There's a little pullback on ES, and we are not above yesterday's high, so that is not good for our bullish idea. This is coming off Nasdaq weakness too, which, by the way, we're below the EMA. If we get a good lower high, I'm going to short the Nasdaq again. Looking for a setup at the 21. Now that both indices are below their key level, it does set up the shorts a lot better. Okay, here we go. Back at the 21. This bar closes near its low. We're going to take that short. If not, we'll have to wait for another lower high. Nope, no dice. Back above the EMA. We're just like right in no man's land here. No conviction so far around this key level. ES making another run at that key level. Looks like it wants to break above again. In order to be bullish, we're going to have to clear these highs now. Well, no sense in getting chopped up in this. We had a solid move on the Nasdaq. Good opportunity as this uptrend played itself out right around the range high. Nice little short in here. But then since then, it's gone sideways. We're back and forth above and below the EMA. Probabilities are definitely thinning out there. So I'd wait for a clear move around this key level, whether it's a move higher, that's fine. Whether it's a complete rejection, that's fine. You just don't want to try to make a bet now because the market is not showing conviction one way or the other. So this is basically a coin toss and you'll probably get chopped up. This is the old famous donate zone. So wait for this to clear up, but yeah, I'm still hopeful for the rest of the day. I'll be switching over to Discord again. If you're considering joining, link is below. Mentorship students are killing it. Paul's gotten like, I don't even know how many payouts this month. It's been awesome. It's really cool to see people growing in their trading ability and able to identify high probability setups as they're happening. That's the goal, man, to try to teach you how to fish. I don't want to just have people like copy my trades, but teach you how to find them yourself so you can go and be independently successful. So information for that is below. Thanks for hanging out with me today, guys. Appreciate you. Have a good one.